let's get into it. Just want to go over my pre-market game plan going in tomorrow, and I'll do my best to do a quick recap of today's session. So as always, let's keep this quick, clean, and easy. Now, we can zoom out here on the daily. I highly suggest, watching the pre-live, the live trading session from today's session. We break down a lot in here. So you can clearly see we've had two big gap up days pretty much in a row. We gapped up Friday, and then we gapped up coming into Monday session. So for me, trading the SPY and the Qs, I'm pretty much hands off here until price develops over the course of a couple of days, and we just create some key levels. I don't trade, pre-market high and pre-market lows or previous day high and low level. So for me, there's just no key levels up here, so I'm hands off these names. But I am expecting eventually some pullback. Hopefully, we have a lot of gaps to fill, two major gaps to fill, in the Qs and the SPY. So here on the SPY, I would really recommend just, if you want to trade this name, I know a lot of people do, you can mark out your previous day high, your previous day low, and look for a pullback long off this previous day low or a break and retest off the previous day high. That's my best suggestion. Me personally, I would just say, wait for the pullbacks to these key levels, let these gaps get filled. But if these gaps don't get filled and we don't get any pullbacks created in the market within these next couple of days, just let the price develop, and then we can create some key levels in the higher time frame, such as really the 4-hour that would be throughout the week. So just be patient. But if you really do want to take a trade off this name, just break and retest off the previous day high, pullback long off the previous day low. Same thing here with the Qs. You can see we gapped up again. So we did have a nice trendy day. The market open did not look too well. Started to chop a little bit, but you can see we clearly just started trending higher on the intraday. So super solid. This thing is moving fairly well to the upside. You can see here, we still got this gap to fill as well though on the daily, and then we have this gap because we gapped on Friday as well. So me personally, I would say, I trade off a higher time frame key levels, just wait for the gaps to fill. But if you want to trade these names, break and retest off the previous day high or a pullback long off the previous day low. Very important. You should, anything you're doing, you're not looking to short the overall market. We know that much. We're not looking to short this name. So just be patient. Let price action develop on the SPY and the Qs over the next couple of days. But for those who trade them, I'll say it again, you're just looking for trades off the previous day high and the previous day lows. AMD. So I break down today in today's session on why I do not take trades off the previous day high and low levels. I really recommend going to watch that live trading session today. To each their own, if you do, by all means. But for me, I just use these as context references. These are not really key levels for me to take trades off of. So, if you took a pullback long off this today and you got stopped out, unfortunate, right? Because you think you're playing the pullback long, you get stopped out. Maybe you could play the break and retest on the reclaim, but these are just reference points for me on the overall market, the previous day high and lows. So same thing here. We had a lot of names gap up today during coming into the pre-market. A lot of names gapped up. So really no key levels. Still waiting for this. Still waiting for this on AMD. This thing's very bullish. You can see price pulled back, but look what this wick did. That shows us that a lot of buyers are in control here, stepping up here. So really just waiting for pullback longs to key levels on the overall market here, even on tech names. So AMD, I do see. Give me one sec. We'll go through this together. Okay. So I do see possible key level setting up here on the 4-hour, but I need more price to develop. So I'm really just hands off this name unless we pull back down to this 240.10. And like I said, this is the A plus long anyway. This is the A plus long anyway. Because you want to get a pullback long down here. This is a lot of thin volume to be filled, and then we can target previous day high and all-time highs. So just be patient on this name. Let price develop. Coming into tomorrow, there's really nothing here for me. I'm still waiting, for price to develop and make some key levels. But as of now, this is the trade that I'm looking for. This is the trade I'm looking for. A pullback long off this 240.10. Tomorrow should be a solid day. We'll see what happens, and then maybe we can develop a key level on the 4-hour. But as of now, hands off this name. Like I said, on the SPY and the Qs, these two key levels, the previous day high and the previous day low, you can look for something like this. Give me one sec. This is valid, right? That's valid, and a pullback long off this previous day low is valid. So these are two key levels you want to, if you want to take a trade off these previous day high and lows, these are the two trades that you're looking for. Pullback long off the previous day low, and a break and retest over the previous day high. But like I've been saying, if you're entering up here where we've already made all-time highs, you're entering late to the party. As we know, and as I've been teaching, the A plus trades are the pullback long entries targeting the all-time highs. So just be patient on this name, let price develop, but your previous day high and previous day low for those who trade off these levels these are the two type of trades you're looking for on these two. NVDA, super solid. If you watch that live trading session, you'll see I took a trade off this today. I sat in this trade for over an hour. Now, coming into today's session, our two key levels to take a trade off of was the pullback long off this 188.15 and a break and retest over this 191.05. I ended up taking the break and retest off of this, managing this on the 5-minute. Tough trade. It was a good win, solid win. Ended up selling to that good momentum push to the high day, which was perfect because we ended up selling off after that, but we held. But this was the A plus long down here. I did not take this entry because I needed price to pull back a little bit more just so I can have tighter risk, and I needed to wait for this candle closure before I went long on this. So by the time I would have taken this trade, my risk, I would have been too exposed. That would have been a very big stop loss if it didn't go my way. But I was patient, and I just waited for my next key level to break. This 191.05 targeting all-time high. So this thing is still in play, but like I said, the pullback longs, these are the A plus long entries. These are the A plus long entries. So coming into tomorrow on NVIDIA, I'm looking for a pullback long off this 191.05 targeting all-time highs, or if we fell into this, a pullback long to this 188.15. But super solid day here. We ended up pulling back. You can see here on the daily, this still slightly has a gap to fill. Slightly has a gap to fill. We can clearly see that there, but today, irrespective of this key levels perfectly, we did end up getting this pullback long off this 188.15. So tomorrow, the only two key levels we're looking for is this 191.05 targeting all-time highs or pullback long off this 188.15. Remember, I said we are now bullish bias on this name now that we reclaimed just 184.50. That was a big reclaim. So we are now bullish bias on this name, and this thing has a clear shot towards all-time highs. So tomorrow, these are our 2 key levels we're looking for, but mainly, right, pullback long off this 191.05, targeting all-time highs. Tesla. So very unfortunate. Missed this because we broke on the intraday. We know we've been waiting for this 450 break. Now Tesla is back in play. It's back in play. You can clearly see. So give me one sec. You can clearly see we ended up breaking this with strong momentum, which is no surprise because we broke outside of a channel. Never got that retest, but we did end up getting this retest at the end of the session. You can clearly see, right? Reclaim. Once we reclaim that, what does that do? That fuels that move higher. So zoom out here on the 15-minute key level here. We know that we're bullish bias on this name. We are bullish bias. So tomorrow, I'm looking for this off this 450, targeting this previous day high and then the top of this range. Now, you could look to take a trade off this 445. I'm not, because technically if we fall back under this 450, we'll be back inside of the channel. Remember, the channel is in between 450 and 410, right? We want to see the top of this channel turn into support. So we did get that retest at the end of the market session, and now you can see we're moving higher. So hopefully tomorrow, we can get a pullback long to this 450, targeting previous day high, and then the top of this range. But if we don't, I'm pretty much just hands off. If we continue higher, I'm just going to wait for the break and retest over 466.50, and then see if we can get this to target all-time highs. As we know, Tesla can move. It can move. So this is good, though. To me, this is just a great setup. We finally broke outside of this channel. Finally, look how clean this is. Right, consolidation, next leg higher. So this is big. This is really big. So tomorrow, this 450, this is really our main key level. It's going to be this 466.50 if we continue higher, get a break and retest over that, or a pullback long off this 450. If we fall under this 450, you can look, for a pullback long off this 445 because we are bullish bias and this key level has been respected. But technically speaking, if we fall under 450, we're back in this channel. And then, even in today's session, I said this is a valid trade if you take this over 450. You can clearly see we got that break, good displacement, retest. And if you would have caught this move, even up to here, this 450, that's a $5 move. As you know, Tesla pays very well. This was a great scout. Or if you just held this, right? Break and retest over 445, just went all the way up to 460. So what a day on Tesla. But I'm happy about this. Tesla's back in play. Tesla's back in play. We're finally outside of that range. So tomorrow, I just want to see the top of this range turn into support. I'm not going to go over Apple, has earnings. Palantir, another one. We've been staying away from this for the longest. Trending higher, consolidation, next leg higher. So tomorrow, I do like how this candle closed a little bit. You see seller stepped in, the body of the candle closed pretty much around 189. So what I want to see tomorrow, pull back long off this 188, targeting all-time highs. That's a valid shot. That is a valid shot. So this thing is in play. Give me 1 second, let me clear this up. This thing is in play. So you can see at the end of the session, buyer stepped in very aggressively once we pulled back here. See this candle? Very aggressively, very, very aggressively. I like to see that. So, and this is a weekly level. I've been saying, this is a weekly level, turning to support. We ended up getting that break and retest in the pre-market. We got a dip and rip. We made new all-time highs. Solid day on Palantir. Objective complete. Finally got us outside of that channel. So what I want to see, just like I broke down on Tesla, the top of this channel becomes support. So tomorrow, 188 is really the key level. If we fall under here, I'm hands off. Obviously, we're long bias on the same. We just want to look for a long off 188. That is the key level. And then Hood, I really recommend watching that live trading session. We broke down Hood perfectly today. So I said, if we get over this 140.15, this is a break of structure play, and we are now bullish on the higher time frame. So coming into today's session, it was a long over 140.15 or a break and retest over 146.70. So you can clearly see we got that break and retest over this 146.70, held it perfectly, and pretty much held. Buyers held this all day today. So we are still bullish, but just like everything else, this was another name that gapped up 2 days in a row. You can clearly see this gapped up 2 days in a row. So we still need, this is really the A+ long off this 140.15. This is a gap fill, thin volume. This has to get completed, right? We know that. We know this by now. So really looking for this pullback long off this 140.15. But going into tomorrow, looking for a break and retest over 146.70, targeting this all-time high. That's a valid shot. That's a very valid shot. Let's clear this up. You can clearly see this thing is trending higher. Give me 1 sec. You can clearly see this thing is trending higher. This thing is stair stepping to the upside. There's a beautiful market structure. You can clearly see that. So what are we looking for tomorrow? Just to stair step higher. Break, retest over 146.70, targeting all-time highs. You can look to scale out some here at the previous day high. If you want, that is very valid. But as we know, as long as we are above this 140.15, we are bullish bias on the same. So today was a really good day on Hood. I passed on it because the spreads weren't really that good for me, and I ended up taking a trade on the video as well. But clean. Just respects market structure beautifully. This thing is stair stepping higher. So you're just looking for a break and retest over 146.70. If we stay heavy, we still have this gap to fill. So if we can fill this gap and get this pullback long to 140.15 before taking out this all-time high, this is really the A+ setup. So look for this 140.15 for pullback as well. And then lastly, have a super cool subscriber. He sends me his trades that he takes. This dude has been really improving. Super nice guy. Love to see the work he's putting in. And he asked me to break down Amazon for him. It's not really a name that I trade, but a lot of respect for him. The work he's putting in is super cool to see. So just want to break this down for him. Not really a name I trade, but I know a lot of people trade it. Amazon's a good stock. The spreads are tight. It respects key levels very well, and obviously it moves with the overall market with the Qs. So let's break this down. So most importantly, coming into tomorrow, the main 2 key levels you're going to be watching here on Amazon is this break and retest over 228.35. This 4-hour, that is a key level, in this 222.6. This is a key level as well. Now, these are the only 2 key levels you're going to be looking to take a trade off of. This 228.35, this is a very strong level. The reason for that being is because if we can break over this, this would be a break of structure, and we are now bullish bias. So let me break this down thoroughly. You can clearly see making lower lows here. We're making lower lows. You can clearly see that this thing was in a downtrend. If we get over this 228.35, look at the break of structure here. We are breaking the swing low. That is a swing low that we are breaking. That is a breaker structure. That's a big deal. This thing would now be bullish bias. So let's zoom in here on the intraday. Give me one sec, clean this up. Like 15-minute. I mean, look how clean this thing is. This thing is moving higher. You know, each day, the last 4 to 5 days, this thing has been stair stepping higher. This is the big trade here. This is a valid shot. I love the confluence here because it's a 4-hour resistance and it's the previous day high and it's a breaker structure key level. So actually, I'll mark this out. It's 4-hour breaker structure level. This is a valid shot. If you're looking for this tomorrow, a break and retest over this is a really, really clean shot, targeting the top of this range. And if you can get in around this 228.35 to the upside, this is a possible swing trade. I mean, you can clearly see we're moving higher, we're stair stepping higher. This is a breaker structure, and we will be bullish bias on the daily. This 226, I'm sorry, this 222.6. The only way you would take a trade is this. Everything else in here is noise because on the daily, we'll pretty much just be sitting sideways. You can clearly see anywhere in here. Give me one sec. That's kind of a channel. If price is in here, we're just pretty much moving sideways. So you can clearly see the visual. A break and retest over 228.35. That would be a stair step higher in a breaker structure. And if we fall under this 222.6, that is a lower low forming. You can clearly see that would be this. That is a lower low. And now we are still trending lower. And obviously, if we get under this 216.20, we're definitely bearish on the higher time frame. But right now, today was a big day. Today was a really big day on this name. We pushed up into this key level on the 4-hour. If tomorrow this thing can stay heavy, stay strong with the overall markets gapping up and making all-time highs and still trending to the upside as we saw today, Amazon can really pay you very well. So this is a really good confluence here. We can see a lot of resistance sitting up here, the previous day high, the pre-market high, the high day, and this is a 4-hour key resistance level, and it would be a breaker structure play. This thing is screaming, pay attention to me. So this is your key level here tomorrow on Amazon, this 228.35. Do not look to short this name unless you fall under this 222.6.